It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we delve into the most enriching and one of the most important conversations right now, especially if you are a parent. World Adoption Month is observed in November with the goal of educating communities about the importance of adoption, how the process works, and it is quite a process, and how you can make the most fundamental difference in a child's life. Now, ABBA, Specialist Adoption and Social Services, or ABBA, is one such organization looking to make that positive difference in this space. And we are joined by Alzette Conradi from this incredible organization. Thank you so much for doing what you do. As a purpose, as an everyday gig, I love the fact that you have chosen this. Let's start with maybe why adoption is critical in the context of South Africa. Why is it so important?
Okay. So we all know that a child needs a family.
Yeah.
And a family is crucial for a child to grow up healthy and become a healthy adult. And adoption is a form of alternative care that speaks to the right of a child to grow up within a family. Adoption is permanent. It's a permanent form of alternative care, and it gives a child a sense of belonging, opposed to your more temporary alternative cares.
And during the critical phases of a child's development, that makes all the difference.
Yes,
let's be honest, that is a line in the sand that needs to be maintained.
Yes.
There are systems and structures that support this, but from a South African perspective, I think there is a lot of a judgment that gets cast on the mother of the child that is being put up for adoption. Unfortunately, in the South African context, socioeconomic realities, very young mothers with incredibly difficult stories lead us to this point.
Yes.
What are the stats currently around abandoned babies in South Africa? How many babies are looking for families right now?
Okay, I think we just need to distinguish between abandoned children and children there's an adoption plan being made for them by their first families, their biological family.
The ideal, yeah.
Yes, definitely. It's very hard to give you the stats in terms of abandoned babies because we don't get that. There's different statistics.
The grey area,
There's definitely a grey area. Different statistics from different stakeholders. And in the end, we don't get specific numbers. There was an expert death study done in 2020 that said that 83 of babies that was found in unsafe abandonment situations, of them 34 were found alive.
Wow.
Which gives us an idea of and I think it's even more. It's even more out there.
And like most areas in South Africa when it comes to socio-economic development,
Yes.
we understand it just needs all of our focus.
Yes.
This is a process.
Yes.
And you've got to steel yourself for that. It is so worth it in the end.
Yes.
It is absolutely worth it, but you've got to do it properly.
Yes.
What does the adoption process look like?
I think it's quite a long process, as you have said in the beginning, but I think the important thing is that people need to understand that the first parents or the expecting parents considering adoption gets thorough counselling. They get option counselling, adoption counselling, and also support. And on the other hand, we have the adoptive parents who are thoroughly screened and prepared for this process. That has to be done for an adoption to be successful in the end.
Ultimately, you're wanting to preempt any challenges so that that family that receive that new child
Yes.
in their life, that will never change.
Yes.
Legally, you need to tick all of those boxes. And I love the fact that it's an exhaustive process to make sure that there is inclusion, if possible, with the family giving the child for adoption as well, which is
Yes.
vitally important. As a family preparing to enter this stage, what do we need to look like? What do I need to do as a parent to ensure that I'm on the right footing to start this process?
The important thing is, I think there's a lot of myths out there about adoption, and I think one of the things are that I need to live a certain way, I need to belong to a certain socioeconomic class or a certain culture, but in the end, the most important is unconditional love. So the social worker will look at what is your motive? Why do you want to adopt? And in the end, the unconditional love commitment is more important than than anything else. But for that, you need to go through the screening, and you need to be prepared of, like any parent, of the challenges that
For
is
sure.
going to lie ahead. But because unfortunately with an adoptive child, there's extra challenges in terms of losses, in terms of trauma, and that is the reality on the other side of adoption as well.
It's a beautiful journey for you to go through as a parent with your child. There is an incredible bond that happens instantaneously.
Yes.
You can only believe it once you see it actually play out. I think
Yes.
that's the joy of this. You've got to get real with yourself, and I would imagine a lot of those crisis moments comes when you haven't fully prepared yourself or
Yes.
given yourself over to this process.
Yes.
Maybe you've got a couple of stories of moments that have really worked for you. And I know it's a difficult space because we can't get too particular about details, but maybe you can highlight a couple of stories that have maybe inspired you or filled your cup back up to keep applying this kind of dedication that you have.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick out specific cases because every case are unique in terms of the joys, in terms of the trauma, on both sides. I think what makes me excited at this moment is ABBA has over 20 years experience in adoptions, which means our adult adoptees and our older children are coming back and learning through their lived experiences of what made you, what helped you, what didn't help you, what can we do different, being more mindful, being more open-hearted in future about adoptions. That makes me really excited because we are not talking about just people doing research, we are talking to adoptees who
lived
went through
experience,
the
for sure.
experience, yeah.
And I think the joy here is that you've got a community to plug into, and I think that's where the magic really starts to happen,
Yes.
when you can hear from children who have been adopted, who have been gone through this journey, parents who have gone through this journey, organizations that have a trust-based relationship with the judges, with the social workers who operate in this space. Maybe a good jumping off point is to plug into that community. Start asking questions and then be brave, because it's going to be a crazy, scary adventure, but it is, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest reward you will receive. So it's worth it. Just have the fortitude. We're going to continue this discussion throughout the next 3 hours.